In this episode, we're talking about part one of our favorite games of 2025 from January through June on Indie Game Arcade. Welcome back to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. I'm your connoisseur of cozy games. My name's Chris.
And I'm your year-long bonfire buddy, Joseph.
Hey, tune in to the very, very end of the episode to hear something really funny, because you'll thank me later. Picture it as a late Christmas gift. You'll see. You'll see.
Oh, no.
Hey, welcome to our GOTY list. We are doing half of our list with doing, as we said at the top of the thing when I did the intro, so I don't know why I'm repeating it now. We're going to do our favorites of each month, which means it's going to be a completely different GOTY list than everybody else is doing. Because every other GOTY list is basically Expedition 33, and that taking up every slot. And then a few others, a few stragglers, if you will. Ours is going to be so much different, though. You know, some of the games may make appearances that you've seen in some of the award shows, but for the most part, probably not, I would think. So yeah, I know for you, for sure.
I would definitely say there's some that definitely show up and may have been mentioned on at least the Indie Game of the Year awards, but sure, for the most part,
same.
Because of the way we had to do this is actually really challenging, because instead of just pocketing a bunch of games that I like that happen to come out like later in the year, or befalling like recency bias, like that I had to throw aside completely, because like, okay, let me try to remember earlier in the year and then see what I actually enjoyed playing at that time. Otherwise, I think recency bias could really have affected my list overall.
Exactly. I was struggling with the same thing. I'm struggling with it still. We're going to do the second half next week with our number one of the entire year. And I may still be trying to figure out which one that is. So at least it gives me another week to figure it out.
I think I've got mine set in stone. It took a while, but I think I got it, and I have my reasons, but I obviously won't talk about those or that game in depth until that time comes.
You gotta try to keep it a secret. Yeah.
I'm gonna be as neutral as I can towards everything, so you'll never know.
Keep it secret, keep it safe. You don't know that reference yet, because I can't get you to watch Lord of the Rings as much as I've tried, but one day.
One day.
A wizard is never late. Anyway, hey, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Also, sorry about my voice. I have the flu. We're recording this literally like 2 days before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to us. Good Lord. Thanks, Santa, you dick. Anyway.
All the germs he leaves behind eating those cookies.
I know, that's all he gave me. That's all he gave every year. Every year. He just licks everything under the tree. Ugh. Let's go ahead and start with January. Do you want to start with this one? You got a strong one? You feeling strong?
I don't know. Well, okay, strong for me. I think it's going to be one that's kind of under the radar, but I think it does get mentioned actually in the actual Indie Game of the Year awards. So my January was actually Fly Night, which was
sick.
Yeah, published by Wobble Boy and developed. And then this is that one that's like the action RPG dungeon crawler, like retro, what is the
PS1 style?
The PS1 kind of style, not quite voxel, but like that PS1 like really like chunky 3D models. And even though this was like a short game, it was like very methodical, like melee combat. It's kind of a goofy aesthetic, but mechanically I found it very sound, and I really enjoyed the whole way through. So it's like kind of a cozy look, but a deadly tone, I guess. So I don't know, like I just found it really fun to play through. I enjoyed obviously getting the armor sets, the weapons, everything. the Dark Soul aesthetic, or Kingsfield more so, I suppose, because it's first person.
Big time.
Yeah, but I think this is one, because it was released so early in the year, gets overlooked from a lot of like Game of the Year list. And I really think this is a strong contender because of it being short and sweet and really made me want to play more of this franchise. So if they ever release either an expansion or a Fly Night 2, I'm completely in.
Maybe like a spider mage, a bee mage, something like that.
They could go so many different directions. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many bugs.
Ladybug Lancer? Who knows?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Ladybug Lance. I love that. That's good.
What about yours? What's your January?
I'm going to start with the least possible Joseph game that I could have picked.
Ugh.
This is, I know, I heard you sigh. You tried to hide it. I heard it.
I didn't even try to hide it.
I went with The Root Trees Are Dead. You remember when we did that episode not that long ago, and we were talking about what are those like subgenres in indie games that we really, really like? Mm-hmm. And I talked about how I really love those kind of like mystery detective kind of sims where you have like a physical space where you're kind of manipulating things. So like here, what you've got, you are tasked with finding out who the heir is to the root tree, whatever, throne, their like corporation, like all their money and stuff. Because this was a very wealthy family. There was a plane crash and the main family all got killed. They were like the heads of like a big candy corporation, like picture like Hershey or something like that. And now they're all dead. And someone's hired you to find who is the next in line to inherit everything. So you're having to go and like kind of root through the root tree's family tree, which is full of intrigue and backstabbing and affairs and adoptions and all kinds of things. It is like there is so much going on in this family. It's insane. And as someone that loves that kind of stuff, like even for my own family, like I have done massive amounts of ancestry research in my own family and Rochelle's family so that our daughter, has all that information at her fingertips once she's old enough. I really gravitated towards this. And they give you like all these things, like they built like their own kind of functioning sort of like internet for this game where you can like literally search for things and see what hits you get. And you have to try like different searches and find photos and try to match things up and figure out like who is who in this family and who's actually blood and who isn't blood, who had affairs with who. It gets crazy and you are probably like, please just kill me now because this sounds terrible. But for people that like me that love this kind of stuff, this was like almost like a gold mine of these kinds of mystery sort of stories. So absolutely love this game. It started as a game jam in, I think, like maybe 2023.
Yep.
And it was just so beloved that they were like, okay, let's repackage this. Let's make it a full game. And they did, and then released it this year. And it's just, there's so many things hidden in it. And I love that. I love finding secrets. Yeah, it's just one that like I absolutely adored and just can't get enough of.
Yeah, this is for a very specific audience. And it's overwhelmingly positively reviewed on Steam. So obviously that audience is strong and in agreeance with you there.
Hell yeah. All right, let's move on to February. The month of love, Joseph. Do you feel love? Do you feel the love right now?
Yes.
I just feel pain in my chest from this flu.
You sound like you're in pain.
A little bit. I mean, you know what? Having a flu is bad enough. Having a flu when you're an asthmatic, that's so much worse. I'm the stereotype right now. I am carrying this rescue inhaler with me everywhere. I'm hitting puffs on it like every 30 minutes. So like, those kids that you see in like the old 80s movies where it's like every time they get anxious about something, they're like puffing on that inhaler. And you're like, there's no way anybody ever takes it like that often. Nope, that is me right now. I'm taking it constantly.
Yeah. As a kid who grew up with asthma, I grew out of it, luckily, but I grew up with it. So I had an inhaler and a nebulizer and the whole shebang. So I am very familiar with what that was like, having to use it constantly. And that's no fun. So I'm sorry. That really blows.
I literally was at Walgreens today and I was like, should I buy a neb? Like I was thinking about it. I was like, oh man, I remember those days. It sounds like a little harmonica when you breathe it in.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
A lot of my elementary school years were spent for recess. Instead of getting to go outside, I got to sit in the nurse's office on my nebulizer. That was really fun.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Asthmatic kids unite. All right, man. What's your February?
So my February game was, and this one kind of came as a surprise to me, but I was like, wow, I didn't really play a lot of other games in February, but Project Tachyon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this was developed and published by Studio this was developed by Studio N9 and published by Hike Inc. This was the high intensity sci-fi roguelike kind of bullet hell that came out where you are just a single individual going through these like side-scrolling levels, and it's got the rinse repeat cycle of you die, time resets, you go back to your base. It's got all the roguelike elements to it. I just really enjoyed the fast, like reactive combat and the emphasis on dash timing and dodging attacks was something I found very satisfying, because sometimes there were so many attacks coming at you at once. It really was bullet hell-ish in that sense, but it was like one of those adrenaline-fueled games that I just really enjoy. And this was one that I kind of bounce off some of these sometimes because they start to get kind of samey. But this one came so early in the year that it was very fresh to me as something that I really wanted to see all the way through. And I did a few times. So once I got into the actual like flow state of this game, I was completely on board and I enjoyed the story overall. You know, it had some lightheartedness to it, but it was a relatively serious story that had a lot of different elements to it. So every run felt pretty unique. And it was always exciting trying out different things and experimenting with different new weapons I would find. So yeah, this one I just really enjoyed. And it's hard for me to remember exactly, like I couldn't tell you beat for beat what happened throughout the game because it's been so long now. But I just remember this one took a lot of time from me back in February. I spent about probably like 20 hours on this one, which isn't a ton of time, but I know like I was fully satisfied with all the time I spent in it. I never felt like I was wasting my time or anything like that. So yeah, this was a fun run all the way through.
It does have a lot of sick boss designs too, which is like one of my favorite things to see in one of these games. Like even if it's a game that I know I'm not going to be good at, as long as you got some really cool bosses in there, like I'm definitely going to have an appreciation for it. And this one's got a ton of them. So yeah, it looks awesome, man. I do remember talking about this one. I don't think it was one I tried, but yeah, pretty sick.
I think it's one of those where it's probably like, if we're talking a level of difficulty from like 1 to 10, I would say this is probably like a 7. It's not like punishingly difficult, but it can be pretty hard at times. But overall, very enjoyable. If you're like me and you like games like that, I think you'll enjoy this one.
I'm going to go with one that, again, you're not going to enjoy.
Oh.
Sorry, bud. This is Urban Myth Dissolution Center. We talked about this last week because this one actually
I forgot about that one too.
Yeah, this one did win an award at the Indie Game Awards for, I believe the award for a female-led game, I think. So kudos to the developer for their win there. Yeah, I love this game. The style of it is so good. It's got like some of the coolest animation I've seen all year, even with it being a mostly visual novel, but like it straddles that line where there's like a slew of games that came out this year where it's kind of like, okay, do you call it visual novel or do you call it interactive fiction? Because like you look at something like Dispatch or something, and it's like, does it look visual novel at sometimes? Yes, but more often than not, stuff is happening on the screen. So it's like, I don't know if you can really refer to it as, a visual novel. I would say this one does lean harder into the visual novel aspect, but there is so much stuff that you can interact with and do. So basically, the story of this thing is you are joining this group called the Urban Myth Dissolution Center. You're responding to calls of people experiencing urban myths, essentially. Like the first one is the guy in the like red hoodie thing that like everybody has seen the artwork for this. He's so creepy. And basically trying to figure out like, where is it coming from? Is it like real? How is it manifesting? And then trying to figure out how to help the person and dispel it before, something worse happens. Part of that is also doing, the kind of things that I like interacting with an interface that is sort of replicating social media or something. So a little bit kind of like, in the Root Trees where I was talking about, they have like their own internet that's sort of built for that game. This one isn't nearly as developed on that side of things, but they do implement things like that so that you do have to sort of like scan, like almost like it's like a version of Twitter or something or Instagram from what I remember. It's been a while since I hopped in. And sort of like look for these kind of things and try to sow doubt because like the more people believe in these things, the stronger they manifest and stronger they get and stuff. And it's just a really cool concept. The designs are like so good. It's definitely one of those, I think I remember when we talked about it in the episode that I was just like, if this was a show, I'd be all over it. Also reminds me quite a bit of World of Horror, which is one of my favorite horror indie games as well. But if you go to their Steam page, there's like a hidden message in their like text, like on their about page and stuff. So if you like look at the very, very bottom, there's like, they're like, hey, you should join us. If you know some rumors or something like that, like feel free to message us. But if you like look really closely, there's like a bunch of like capital letters, things that are capitalized where they shouldn't be. And it's like creating a message. And like, I love when games and developers and stuff do stuff like that, like making it so much more of an immersive experience, like an ARG outside of the game that ties things in. So yeah, I love this one. This is one that I never got to finish all the way and 100% want to go back in, do the whole thing because it is so good.
This is one that I would watch as a show. It's not something that I could really get on board and play, I don't think, but I really appreciate the way that it looks. I like the pixelated animation it has. Even if it were a show that was exactly this style, I still think it would be fun to watch. And because I love the idea behind it. I just know that I bounce off of games like this, unfortunately, but I can appreciate it for what it is.
If you were anyone that's like into things like creepypastas or like No Sleep, any like Reddits or anything like that, this is a game that you're going to like hands down. If you're into those kind of things, this is a game that was basically made for you. All right. So we are marching along. Get it? Joseph, did you get my joke?
I got it.
Okay, good. It's very important to me that you understood my joke about March. Because that's what we're doing next.
I absolutely understand.
Thank you. What's your number one for March?
Okay, so this one I know you've played, so at least we've got that. My March game was Rogue Genesia.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about this one together, because that was also my number one for March.
Perfect. Wow. I'm surprised we had any crossover, but if there was going to be one, I am not surprised this was it.
We might have a couple, but we'll see. We'll see. This was definitely my number one for March as well. But go ahead and start explaining some of the stuff about this one and why you picked it as well.
So this was developed by Wadi Huard. I don't know how to say that. And published by Wadi Huard and Gamersky Games. This one is obviously a roguelike, sort of bullet hell, going through hordes of enemies with big power-ups and crazy things. But what I appreciated about this game is that there is a lot more to it and a lot of like meta stuff. And it's kind of like, it doesn't take itself too seriously. And you can sort of get these like crazy power-ups that can really like break the game either in your favor or against you. And what I still remember, even like as I think about this game, I remember getting an achievement that was like 2 FPS or something. I don't remember what it was, but I unlocked a character or something by getting so many bullets on the screen at once. I don't remember if I was like shooting them or what was happening, but that it slowed my frame rate down to like nothing, even on my like 4090 RTX card. And that gave me an achievement because they were expecting all those particles happening at the same time to do that. And I just thought that was a really fun way to kind of like, not reward like finding that bug or whatever, or like overcharging the game, but just like playing with that where it's like, yeah, we know it's going to like slow down right here because of all the particle effects. So here you get an achievement for dealing with it. So thank you.
Yeah. I remember you telling me about that. And I thought that was like one of the funniest things I've ever heard of as far as an achievement for a game. So yeah, I really appreciate that. It shows you like the level of humor, not just for the game, but that the devs themselves have. And, you know, I love that. That's very, very cool. One of the things that I really liked about it, not only the art style, even though, you know, the art is like, you know, a little rough around the edges, but in that Vampire Survivors way, you know, like where it looks like asset packs and stuff and brings a charm to it. But I love that it's 2.5D, which is an art style that like I am like gravitating more and more towards over the like last couple years and stuff, since I think my very first one was a non-indie game, but it was like Octopath Traveler. I think that's probably a lot of people's, you know, first one of really getting into that kind of style. It's just, I love the style of it and the idea that it felt like a cross between Vampire Survivors and Slay the Spire. And the way that you can like, you know, pick where you want to go and everything and all the shops and stuff, like literally, I mean, it's not like a lot of roguelikes and roguelites don't do that, but this was the first Horde Survivor game that I played, I think, that combined that together. And so like, I really, really appreciated that because it really, it was one of the first games that I felt like really put a huge spin on the Horde Survivor genre, aside from maybe Karate Survivors. But I very much enjoyed this one more, I think, because it was the playstyle was so much more akin to like Vampire, which is obviously near and dear to my heart because I'm still playing that game all the time.
Oh, that's insane.
Because there's so many updates. Yeah. I was getting more like achievements just the other day. So.
Wow. This one just has like a lot of depth to it in the sense. I mean, Vampire Survivors does kind of more so. That just has a lot of unlocks. But this one has like so many weird achievements. I have 100 and something achievements out of like their 300 something. I don't know that I will ever get all 308 achievements. But you basically get achievements for kind of just walking around and doing stuff in this. But then there's some that are like deeper cut where you have to achieve some kind of weird thing, like that 2 FPS one I got just from, I don't know, breaking the game with all those particle effects. But like, I just appreciate all the depth there is to this. I didn't bounce off of it. I just had to move on to other games because like this is one I could find myself spending a lot of time in if I really wanted to like, 100% it or get towards 100%ing it. But it is also one that I could jump back into now and pick up as a game that's like, okay, this still feels fun. It still feels fresh. I can do a run or two and feel satisfied with it because it's just like a weird kind of like good time. And yeah, I also, like you, enjoyed the 2.5D design to it. And just the weird power-ups, the fun characters, the interesting classes, and all of the just crazy attacks that are happening at the same time. It's chaos, but in the best kind of way.
Probably helps that they like rank your runs too, because that always brings more incentive to like keep playing because you want to get a better rank every time.
Yeah, and you're unlocking like different levels of challenge like every time too. Right. Like you start off at like F rank and you can unlock up to like, I don't know, probably B or S or something. But like, yeah, you have that sense of progression in it as well. You could go in and play the easier ones, but at a certain point, you're going to want to start pushing towards the higher ranks to probably unlock some more weird, fun stuff.
Hell yeah.
Power up!
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and throw us a like, a follow, share the episode of the podcast with folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support indie game devs. We also have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth where you can catch us playing more indie games or check out our top 5 and top 10 series for even more indie game recommendations because we believe there's an indie game out there for everyone.
Get ready!
Let's start with April. What was showering your playtime in April?
So April, I still feel like it was pretty straightforward when it came to April because that is when Star Invaders came out. So clearly that had to be my April game. This was developed by Penguinauts and published by Joystick Ventures and Playworks. This is the one where you're piloting a mech as different characters, different style of mechs as different characters in a grid-based kind of tactics or tactical deck building way. It is a roguelike, but it's one that does a lot of interesting things that I haven't seen in a lot of roguelikes. If you want to think about it like Space Invaders, obviously like Star Invaders,
exactly.
Space Invaders, like it's that, but in a roguelike form, a roguelike deck building format. And there's a lot of depth to this where there, I think, are 3 or maybe 4 mechs, but there's like 5+ characters you can be with each of those mechs that all have unique sort of skills or cards that are attached to them. So there's a lot of variety to these builds, and it just feels really satisfying getting through it. I kind of like lucked out in a way in one of my runs where I got like I don't know if it's like the best ending, but I got like the real ending at a certain point, just because I had such like a uniquely powerful build at the time that I kind of just kept pressing through as I was unlocking different parts of it. And that was just so fun. And I love that I could do that, even though I was still relatively early on, because like they didn't brick wall me off because I was like, you haven't played enough. You know, I had like a really good deck and I happened to come across like good enough items that worked in conjunction with it that they allowed me to kind of keep going instead of feeling like, I haven't played this enough, so I'm going to get like cut off at a certain point. You know, like some games do that and it gets really kind of frustrating when you feel really powerful and you just get slammed down. And I understand why they do it in some games, but this one allowed me to kind of carry on with my sort of broken run that I had. And I was appreciative of that, but it didn't make me want to stop either because I had gotten the true ending. It's like, okay, well, what else can I do with this now?
Plus, there's so many good, like different characters and stuff that you can play as that all have their own, like different abilities and different cards and stuff that they start with. That I just like. There's like 1 or 2 that I just really, really liked in that game, and I had a hard time trying all of the characters that I would unlock because I kept wanting to go back to these certain ones because I just really liked their abilities so much. And I also really like about that one is that you do constantly get like a drip of lore. Even if you lose a run, they still give you something at the end. So it's like, even if like you completely biff it and fail, you're still getting like some little bit of reward. Like I'm getting my little trophy, my little participation trophy. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Like you can beat a run, but you're not like, as you beat runs, you're unlocking more lore as to like what the true, like what's going on behind the scenes, sort of like slowly giving that to you. And at a certain point, it's like, okay, I can beat this run, or I can push further to try to get like a real ending. And that's where it's giving you that option, but it's going to be really challenging. So it's like, are you ready for that? Do you think with your current setup, you can get that far? And so that's where it's a fun way to sort of give you that option, but also have that risk reward sense to it. And it just really rewards like deliberate, thoughtful gameplay with the cards and the grid layout. So once you kind of figure out how an enemy is moving, it helps you make some like smart decisions on, okay, this person I know or these enemies are going to move in this certain way. So let me set this up so I can think a couple turns ahead. It's sort of like mental chess in that way, but with a Space Invaders roguelike. So yeah, I absolutely loved this game. I still need to go back to it and play more of it just to see what else there is. Really, I haven't even unlocked all the characters. So I've unlocked all the mechs, but still a ton of characters to unlock and try out and just see what kind of fun I can have.
Well, I almost picked that one for mine. This was the one where I was telling you that there was 1 month particularly where I was having a really hard time deciding which way I wanted to go. I decided not to go with that one because I knew you were going to go with that one.
Yeah.
But I went with what is probably, you're going to say, is the obvious choice for me. I went with Blueprints.
Oh boy.
I've sunk so many hours into Blueprints. And have I 100%ed this thing? Absolutely not. I don't think anybody yet has completely solved Blueprints. Have people beat the game? Absolutely. But have people beat the game? No. Nobody has beat the game. Because everything is a puzzle. Every room you go into is a puzzle. The game itself is a puzzle. You beat the game? Oh, guess what? Guess what? Beating the game? That was just part of the puzzle, bud. You still got a whole bigger puzzle to figure out. As someone who loves puzzles, who loves mysteries, who loves detective-y stuff, this is like basically like a dream. And the idea also that it is a roguelite also adds appeal to it also. Sometimes makes it incredibly frustrating, but it's very, very fun. There's also this just air about the game that I really appreciate, where there is like no horror in this game, right? But like no matter what, there's something about the atmosphere of it. There's something about walking through these corridors and just the ambience of it, which is very, very light, very minimal, very, very minute music, and just hearing the echo of your footsteps. And like every once in a while you do something yourself and you hear just a little shift of something. Like you're always just kind of like unnerved and waiting to see somebody on the other side of like another door. It never happens, and it's not going to happen because it's not that kind of game. But the idea that, you know, as much time as I've like played this, I still get that feeling when I'm like wandering the halls and trying to create new rooms. If you aren't familiar with this, which I feel like most people in the indie game space have to be, it's like that game where you have inherited this mansion from your very eccentric like uncle, but to be able to actually like, you know, stake your claim for it, you have to find the hidden 46th room. And you're having to like open doors and draft a room out of 3. So you're basically in that roguelike kind of fashion. Every time you open a door, you get a chance of like 3 like RNG for like 3 different rooms that could draft. Some of them have costs for different things that you might collect during your kind of journey and everything. Some of them are just, you know, free to open. Every single thing has some sort of like puzzle or advantage or something to it. There's a purpose for every single thing in this game. And a lot of those are not things that you would know on the surface. This is a game like you were talking about before, I think in the last episodes or something, that is notorious for like everyone is having to take physical notes to figure this game out. And the creator, so the developer is Dogubum, but the actual like developer himself is Tonda Ross, has been very cheeky about if anyone's ever actually seen everything to the game. And with a little smile and a wink, we know that nobody has seen everything to this game. So I'm very, very excited to keep exploring it for as long as my computer will handle it, because I think my computer is starting to fall apart or something, because it's starting to sound like an airplane taking off when I load this one up for some reason. But hey, my Steam Deck's working just fine. So
this is one that I know I will never play because it seems like a game that does not respect time of the player. And that's what I've seen when I've heard or seen reviews that are talking about this game. And even if they like parts of it, the consensus seems to be that it feels like a puzzle game, or what should have stayed as just a puzzle game, and then roguelike elements are thrown into it. And that is what artificially inflates what would have otherwise been an enjoyable game. And just hearing that and the fact that it just takes so, and the physical notes, like that part turns me off of this so much that I don't think I would ever jump into it. Cool that it's got, I guess like indie game of the year now, especially after the whole debacle with Expedition 33.
There's egg on our face because we talked about Expedition 33 winning that last year or last week. But they got removed.
It did, but it got removed. Yeah. It
got removed, and now Blueprints is the winner. Whoops. Hey, don't put AI in your games, folks. There you go.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I think it's like one of those things of like, does it artificially inflate? Maybe. I think maybe. I do think that argument can definitely be made. I also think that it's like a case of if once you understand the mechanics more, that isn't nearly as much of a problem as you think it is, like the limited amount of steps and stuff. And you always learn something every time. It's one of those games where you are supposed to fail your run because that's how you learn to like put this whole thing together. So it's just sort of the nature of the game. Does that mean it's like respectful of time? Hard to say because like it is not a traditional game in any sense. It's not a game that's meant to be like someone jump in and go from A to B and complete it. It's just not that. So if people that go in thinking, okay, well, I think I'll be able to complete this. I'm good at puzzles. It's not going to happen. It's a game that is meant to be played and poured over every minute detail, almost like, I think of almost like those hunt to killer packages or something like that. Like you have to pour over every little detail and stuff to really figure out, what's at the core of everything. So it's kind of like one of those things a little bit. That's like sort of a poor equation, but the only thing I can think about with my disease-addled brain right now. But I definitely do understand where some players are coming from that.
I haven't played it personally, so I'm just speaking from what I've heard elsewhere. So I think it's one of those that's going to be a pretty split opinion. I don't think there's a lot of gray to this. It's either you like it or you don't.
Yeah, I do think that you are 100% on that. You will either love this game or hate it. And yes, as far as that goes, you're 100% on point. Let's move on to May. I want to make a prediction. I do think there is a possibility that we're going to overlap on the next 2 months. I could be very wrong, but I think it's possible. So is it going to be May, Joseph?
Maybe here I would say very possibly, because this was a clear winner for me. Monster Train 2 was my my main. Yeah.
There we go. Yes, we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, developed by Shiny Shoe, published by Big Fan Games. I was just such a huge fan of the original Monster Train that I was just like, I was ready for 2 to come out, and I enjoyed all the time I've spent with it. Oh my gosh, I have 70 hours on record of playing Monster Train 2, which seems unreal. I didn't even realize I'd spent that much time in it, but I would still go back to it right now and play more of it because I just love deck building mechanics, and this is one of my favorites. I think this was probably the original Monster Train was probably the second actual deck building roguelike that I had played outside of Slay the Spire. And so I have a fondness for that, and carrying that same sort of gameplay over to 2, adding some enhancements to it. I know some people are a little split on whether they like the first or second one better, but for me, the second is just like a shinier version of the first one with a lot of fun adds to it. and a lot of carryovers from other like indie games. Like I know there's some cards you can get from Cult of the Lamb and things like that you can add into your deck. And that's just exciting to me because it is a big blend of things that I love. So if you are a fan of the original Monster Train and you haven't tried this one, please do, because I think it's definitely worth your time.
So I don't know how much time I've spent in Monster Train 2, but I do remember that when I did my little like Steam Wrapped thing that came out like a couple weeks ago, that Monster Train 2 was the one I put the most time in out of all the games this year. So yeah, definitely up there for me as well. We played a lot of games, man. My like total was like, I think, including demos and stuff, it was almost like 300 games. Which to some people, it's probably not going to be a lot, but you know, when you got like a kiddo and you're working 9 to 5, that's a lot of games.
I don't even know how many I played this year, but I do know that as the year went on, I started playing more and more, and that was my downfall because that's where
I thought you would start playing less,
harder and harder. No, it's just because so many good games like waited until towards the end of the year, like Q3, Q4, and so that's where the choices started becoming harder and harder.
Right. I absolutely love this game. I do think it is definitely a big step up from the original. And what I like about this so much is that it doesn't, it's a sequel that did not completely change something. You know, it took what is working about the original and it made everything from that original game better. And I absolutely love that because I loved the first game. I played the crap out of the first game. I have the first game on my phone also, so I can play it on the go. So needless to say, big fan. You know, sometimes you get those games where they come out with a sequel and it's just like they put all their time in the things that we don't want. There's like, there's been a lot of struggle like that. I talked several episodes ago with Moonlighter 2, where they just kind of like revamped so many things and just like completely got rid of a lot of the stuff that people loved from the original Moonlighter, that once they did like their demo and stuff, they got very, very negative feedback and it kind of flopped. So they've had to do like a lot of damage control and kind of go back to the drawing board, and they had to redo like a whole bunch of stuff for their sequel and kind of add some of the qualities and stuff from that original game back in. The fact that Shiny Shoe knows their audience, essentially. They know what we want, and they're giving it to us in spades. And I wholeheartedly respect that. One of my favorite deck builders of all time, if not my favorite, along with Inscription and Wild Frost. Fantastic games. There's a great bundle for Monster Train 2 and Wild Frost right now that I'm seeing that's on sale for $28.78. You cannot beat that. That is so good. Also another bundle for one of your favorites, Knock on the Coffin
Knock
Lid.
on the Coffin Lid. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
This game has there's like the fact that you can stack up like cute mushroom guys, a lot of fun,
dude.
I love that. Yeah. And okay, so there's how many classes originally? There's like 5 that you're unlocking at first or something like that. And then like out of nowhere, it just like doubles the amount that you can get. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is like so awesome. And it's just such a cool feeling to be like going through that, thinking you're hitting the end of something and then opening up a whole new plethora of ideas to explore and builds to experiment with. So yeah, this game still would have my attention. If I wasn't doing a video game podcast, I probably would have played this for a lot longer than I originally did. It's one I will continue to go back to, even coming into next year.
It definitely makes me want to check out their other game that they made that is not Monster Train, Inkbound, that came out last year. It's a turn-based tactics roguelite.
Yeah,
I've heard like a few mixed things about it, but it's got mostly positive. It's got very positive reviews. So it kind of looks like a lot of people are saying, oh, the devs abandoned it. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like you could still play what's there. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know much about that one. It was on my wish list, but I didn't pick it up for one reason or another last year. So I don't know. Maybe if it's on like it is on a deep sale right now, actually. So I don't want to eat my words and say that, but who knows? One day I might play it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an episode if I didn't possibly talk you into buying another game. So get Inkbound.
TBD.
All right, we're moving on to the final month of this episode, which is June. So I'm trying to think of something witty. I got nothing. What bug got you in June?
Oh,
get it?
Okay,
Just like a June bug.
June bug, right? No, I get it.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it. Yeah, so June, for anybody who keeps track of game releases, this is going to be pretty obvious for me personally. Since I literally had like an update on this game week over week, even after it came out, and will still jump into it periodically. The game is Peak, and that for me was absolutely the peak game of June. This was developed by Team Peak, which I guess is Land Crab, I guess is their kind of like combined name, but Aggro Crab and Landfall, the separate studios, grouped together to create this game. And it has just been obviously a huge like viral hit, and it's still being like developed or still like releasing free content, which they did not have to do. This is already like made waves and everyone already loves it, but they are still supporting it. They're still sending out stuff. They still care about it. And that just goes to show like, it makes me like the studio behind it even more, even though I already have like an affinity towards Aggro Crab because of their original game that I had played, Another Crab's Treasure. That was the very first game that I had played all the way through with a Let's Play and recorded all of it and released it on YouTube, all that. So for me, like I was already on like really good terms with them or with that studio. So to see them come out with this and me love this equally, it just makes me more excited for whatever they're going to come out with next. And Peak is still something I'm enjoying even now. So yeah, it really stands out because it's got that low ceiling of entry or that low floor of entry where anybody can like jump in, climb with friends and have a good time. But then there's also a high skill ceiling because you can to like get all of the like advanced like difficulties and things like that. I don't remember what they're called exactly, but like the different levels of challenge you can get that make it like more difficult to climb these peaks as it goes. That's what has kept me coming back so much. And yeah, this one I think absolutely has earned my June pick.
Also was not meant to be a live service game, which I just found out recently, like that was never part of the plan, but it was just the game took off so much that they were just like, oh, hey, let's start developing some stuff real quick that we can like move in and out and, change the game up and stuff. So like they've been doing all this stuff and none of that stuff was actually even part of the plan because I don't know that they even anticipated this game was going to be anywhere near the success that it's seeing. I don't think that you can really plan for that, but
you can't predict like these things will become like streamer bait basically, but this one absolutely was. And I know it started as, I don't know if it was a game jam or what, but it started as something much smaller and then was developed into this. Now it's hit the point of like they're hosting concerts and things. Like I watched recently the Baby No Money like mini concert they had going on that only lasted I think a weekend, and it was just hilarious to see that, and they just treated it with such high regard that it was like they don't have to like keep doing these things, but just because of the way that they are handling it, it makes me appreciate this game all the more.
I think they did say they are going to take a break for a little bit, and
they should. They deserve it.
Come back. Yeah, they are going to come back though and do some more, but yeah, they do need a break, man. They've been going ragged since they started.
And I know even now they have all the peaks are snow capped because it's Christmas and everything.
Yeah.
Or Christmas time. So
that's so cool.
Again, this game just amazing. If you haven't played Peak, you need to play Peak.
So good. I actually picked a different one, believe it or not.
I'm curious what you thought we would line up with then.
I forgot that Peak came out that month. So now I'm like, oh no, that was dumb of me to think you would pick anything but Peak.
Right.
My pick was Soulstone Survivors.
Oh,
I sunk so much time into this one. I was actually kind of surprised that this wasn't my most hours played game on my Steam wrap up, that I went to Monster Train 2, because I felt like there was a period of time where this was all I did. I lived, breathed, and slept playing this game. This is another like Horde Survivor where there's like a whole bunch of like different guys that you can unlock, like characters that all have different starting abilities, but the amount of unlocks and builds and customizations and things that you can do, kind of like Rogue Genesia, you can make these crazy broken builds, and it is just so much fun, especially because sometimes you can get into these like waves of like endless kind of waves and stuff like that, and just see how far you can go before basically your system can't handle it anymore, or you just can't see what's going on anymore, and you're like, you know what, this has been going for a couple hours, I need to sleep at some point, I have a child who needs their dad, eventually I'm gonna have to turn this thing off. So many upgrades, there's so many like skills and stuff like that to unlock, and crystals to collect and put things in.
And different modes you can do too.
So yeah, different modes, there's runes, there's a lot of achievements. I had so much fun with this game.
I was disappointed that I could not choose this game because of how much I love Peak and love Peak for June specifically, because if they had not come out in the same month, Soulstone Survivors would have absolutely been one of my choices.
Out of all of the Horde Survivor style games, this one feels the smoothest to play. Like, it's just the one where everything feels very optimized, everything like runs smooth, everything looks good, all of the upgrades and spells and everything makes sense. There's really like no critique to give to this like whatsoever. It is just nothing but fun.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this game for quite a few weeks in a row and cited it as like one of our favorites, if not our favorite Horde Survivor game like to date. And it may still be to some degree.
Someone's going to have to make something just completely off the wall to replace this one for me. So I would love to get this for mobile. I don't know if they made a mobile version yet, but if they do, I'm going to be all over it. Because I like my mobile games.
Oh, unfortunately. But you will be happy to know that they are coming out with a Rogue Soulstone, which is going to be a like 3D action roguelike in this same universe.
Really?
Yeah, using
that's sick.
The same sort of models and stuff too. It's TBD
cool.
right now as far as release date, but I have it on my wish list because I'm absolutely going to try that one out for sure.
Now I got to add it to mine. So thank you. Hey, so that was the first half of our Goaties. Next week, we will continue with July through December. And I can tell you right now, this was the hardest ones for us to pick by far, especially for Joseph.
Yeah.
He had a really
specifically
rough time.
September, and I won't say why exactly yet, but man, September was hard.
That, and we will pick our number one for the entire year. So something from all of these 12 will get elected to be our number ones. So make sure you come back and listen to that episode. And hopefully I won't be dying.
Hopefully.
Game over.
But hey, if you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around for the bumper to learn how you can help support the show and all the things we do here at Sloth Creative, and maybe some of my medical bills. You can also check the show notes for our link tree, which will take you to our social media, Discord, merch store, and tons of other cool stuff. But get in touch with us and let us know what indie games you're playing and help us elevate these games so we can help support indie game devs. That's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game let's plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.
And I'm your year-round... Nope. I was going to say year-round hard boy, but that doesn't sound good at all. Hold on.
I feel like I am legally obligated to leave that in the episode at this point. Year-round hard boy.
What is it?
Just knocking stuff off every table he passes by. You know?
Yeah. Year-round.
Can't help it.
Yep. Permanent. It's a blessing and a curse. Mostly a curse. Rarely a blessing, actually.